One, two, three, let's go.
the legends of memory and storage. Crucial brings you the ultimate performance in gaming. Legendary products. Precision engineered. For speed and stability. Crucial ballistics.
Good evening there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the LG Ultragear Tec Gauntlet Season 3, powered by Crucial. Our apparel partners are 6x6, accessory partners Cosmic Byte, and our esports partner is none other than Aimlab. Your boy Aggressive is now back on the hot seat once again. It's been a while, but hey, I got my buddy Crips on my left, I got Floki on the right, and we are here for an insane one. Not really gonna be a match, but still, hey, this is a really important phase for the entirety of the gauntlet, because as the bracket stages have ended, group stages are now gone. The top 8 teams are already on your tables, and we need to try and do the draw event for them to see who are going to be facing off against one another when it comes down to the playoffs. That's why we are here, and that's why these teams in front of your screens are going to be the ones that are going to tear down pretty much all the walls and try to break through what they can. And you can already see Seed 1 and Seed 2, they have been placed in separate corners. Primarily, Seed 1 is the top 2 teams throughout the entire bracket, and the 3rd and 4th positions for both brackets are going to be heading on down over onto Seed 2. The way that the seeding system will work is that Seed 1, we will draw a roulette, and through that roulette system, Seed 1 is going to pair up against Seed 2. And in that sense, Crips, I'm going to be handing you the mic right off the very beginning. Do you believe that the first match is going to be easy for them? Because in a way, Seed 1 and Seed 2, yeah, they're separated, but all these teams, they're quite evenly matched in my eyes.
Yeah, these guys could have an upset potential over here. Now, the seeds, they may or may not lie. Of course, stats-wise, the seed 1 teams have obviously done better. They are the top 2 teams of their groups. But you take a look at all the other teams who have managed to go through into the playoffs and they took seed 2. These guys have picked up a couple of maps off their seed 1 opponents, so I think it shouldn't be that easy. I wouldn't use that word, although teams like Velocity, Enigma, Exploit, and XO, they do have a better chance of winning their opening matches against C2 teams than they have of winning against their own seeds.
Yeah, that is for sure. Because even though the C2 teams are the third and fourth positions for both of the groups, you gotta remember that these guys deserve the third and fourth position. They fought for it, and we have seen their entire growth throughout the gauntlet, how much they have grown, especially when you consider a team of FS, who have had the roughest of times in season number 2, and now they have made it into playoffs, something that we didn't even expect to happen, but it did. They're gone through leaps and bounds, taking down God Particles, SEUL. They have pretty much been the ones to show their consistency. And are they going to be able to be consistent when it comes down to their draws as well? That's what we got to find out. Will Lady Luck shine upon them and hope that they do not face against Velocity? That's the real question. Heading on down over on towards the draw screen, ladies and gentlemen, to see exactly who's going to be the first team to come on down through. Let's start up the roulette and let's see what happens. Drum roll, please. Started up with the side of seed 1. Who's gonna be the one to get picked up here? And okay. Every single time I call this, it's like, okay, it's gonna be Velocity. It did happen. Seed number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start up that draw. And if it's FS, that's gonna be the biggest call that I ever did. Okay.
Oh boy.
Okay, listen. In season number 2, I called GE versus Velocity right off the get-go when it came down to this. It was GE versus Velocity game 1. I'm like, okay, hopefully FS is not gonna go up against Velocity. That's exactly what happened. Floki,
Yep.
I'm so down. We're gonna be heading on down over to the Velocity stats because I gotta get out of here because this is happening every single Gauntlet event. And I don't know how I feel about this anymore.
Yeah, actually, all
Maybe-
the viewers must be thinking that it's Aggie pulling the strings, and it is you pulling the strings behind the map.
Yeah,
We
for
just don't
sure.
tell the audience. He already, it was pre-decided before he came, and he told us that it's going to be FS versus Velocity. I was going to pretend that I know it all because I've been the one setting up these matches. Everything that you see from the view is an absolute farce. But the stats are on our screens now. So yeah, Velocity have been looking rather well. Of course, Matras and MW are not going to be playing this time around. It's instead going to be Right to Ace, Helef, Deathmaker, Vibhor, and Mazel. All of these guys have played really, really well. I think Deathmaker in particular stands out with the highest ACS that I think we've seen in this entire season in the Gauntlet. So no big surprises there. This man can really frag if it comes down to it. But everyone else on the team too, just maintaining an ACS over 200, just showing that they're a cut above the rest over here in this season so far.
Yeah, the way that Velocity have been playing, going on a 7-0, they haven't dropped a single map pretty much to other than 2 teams. One being Weird, and that's pretty much it. Like, not even any other team. They have won every single one of their matches on a 2-0, other than going up against FS and Weird, dropping 1 map to both of the underdogs. So, in a way, FS, they have a chance of taking out the side of Velocity because previously then they did go up against Velocity. They were able to take them down on 1 map. Hopefully they've done their homework. Hopefully they're going to be able to just tie out a couple of the loose ends at the bare minimum because Velocity, they've just gotten even stronger throughout all of the matches that they have played previously. Even when you consider the showdown phases, they have been absolutely phenomenal. But FS, they have a lot to prove. Let's head on down over into their team stats and see exactly how they've been playing throughout this entire tournament. And Crips, take away the mind play, man, and walk us right through the squad.
So, about FS, this team is the kind of team that likes doing their aggressive stats right from the get-go, but it's very easy to shut them down. And if they start to stumble in the first few, rounds of their game, it becomes difficult for them to bounce back. And now that they're going up against Velocity, a team that is equally aggressive, that takes matters into their own hands other than wait for the opponents to make a move first, FS are going to have their hands full. They need to make sure that they get enough room for themselves, no matter what map they play. And even when they are getting the room, they just need to make sure that it's not a trap set up by Velocity. that's the only thing about FS Esports. If they like doing things their way and if they get their own way, then they can survive. But given that they're up against Velocity, a team that is manipulative, a team that basically makes you throw away your own advantages, I think FS Esports will be manhandled in all sorts of gruesome ways. And I'm not really sure if they can go up against Team Velocity, but they have picked up a map before against them. So it's not like they're setting ducks. They can make it competitive.
Yeah.
Cortez, Dominic, Cactus, all of these guys have been really, really good, but it's mostly Kohli and Cactus doing most of the heavy lifting. They're the only ones who have quite a lot of ACS in this group. I mean, we all know that maintaining your ACS above 200 is difficult, and B2 has also done it to some extent, but B2 keeps on changing his roles. Like over here, you can see him on the Sage role, but we've seen him on the Reina as well every now and then, sometimes even on Cypher. So B2 is that kind of versatile character that keeps on changing stuff around. And Cortez and Dominic, they don't have any ACS about 200. So individually, they might need to step it up.
Yeah, it's just been difficult for them to try and play into the team as much, but hey, it's FS. They're the underdogs of this story. We're always going to be rooting for them primarily because, hey, underdogs, they'll always have our hearts, even when going up against a juggernaut like the side of Velocity. And hey, speaking of both of these teams, let's head on down over towards the playoff screen and playoffs bracket scene and see exactly how they're going to be seeded into. This is going to be our first game of this entire season when it came down to the playoffs. So I'm really excited for this one, Floki. But
Yep.
as the brackets are still shaping up, we need to see who's going to be the second team, third, and fourth to get a visual representation of what kind of storyline we can expect throughout the entirety of the playoffs because it's going to be a long couple of weeks. It's going to be a fun one indeed. And as we head on down over towards the draw screen once again to pick out our second bunch of teams, let's see who's going to be unlucky here. Floki, give
Mm-hmm.
your predictions. I gave my prediction. My one came out down through. Now it's time for you guys.
I want to see Enigma go up against Valor. I think that's one of my favorite things. Yeah, it's either Enigma versus Valor or EXO versus Valor, either one of them. But you know what? Let's get started and let's actually just see which team is going to be picked up from that seed one slot here. So I hope it's Enigma or EXO because I really want to see them go up against either Valor or
Okay.
EXO. And there you go. It is Enigma. Now it's time for seed 2. Am I also an Oracle or am I just a troll? Well, we're about to find
Oh,
out.
okay, you're an
And I
Oracle.
also am an
And
Oracle.
Grips,
Nice.
a lot of pressure is gonna fall onto you to
Yeah,
get the
I know, I
trifecta.
know, I know. I can feel the
Good
sweat
old
on my forehead
prestigious.
already.
Yep. But hey,
Mhm.
first of all, let's head on down over towards the side of the Enigma spotlight and see exactly what their stats are going to be looking like throughout this entire season and see if they're going to be sweating as hard going up against the side of a loss, going up against the side of a Valor, I mean. Because the way that Enigma have been playing initially when we started up the gauntlet, we were like, okay, maybe this is not gonna work. Maybe it's just gonna be quite rough for them to handle because primarily you gotta remember something. Enigma, brand new roster, just added Antidote and Rexy. Antidote being a player that is well known for his jet, well known for his duelist, but him playing a controller, something we never really expected, isn't that right, Cribs? But he fitted in the role beautifully.
And that's the beautiful part. He wasn't able to fit in at the start. He was struggling a bit because he was IGLing for Enigma, and that was a new thing for Antidote as well as Enigma. He used to be in Velocity first, but then he left the team because he wanted to pick up this IGLing role, and Enigma, the players trusted him to do so. And it took him a bit to get used to it. But once he got into the shoes and once, his laces were tied, once he was ready to run, oh my God, Enigma left everyone behind in the dust. Antidote, in the last few games of the Gauntlet group stage, this man was on fire. He was clutching left, right, and center. He was picking up all the ridiculous duels and still winning them. All the risky peaks he made, even dry peaks for that matter, he was successful in getting those. And honestly, sometimes I felt like this man is on the edge and maybe he will die, but he did not. So heavy impact fragging by Antidote and stepping up as an IGL and individually towards the later stages of the group stage. Yeah, that's just amazing from him. Rofi, on the other hand, man, I don't even need to speak anything about him. The stats just speak for themselves. Insane 276 ADS. What is this? We were out here, telling people that it's difficult to get ACS about 200. Man sitting at about 275.
Yeah.
He's closer to 300 than he is to 200. So that tells you everything you need to know. 259 kills, probably one of the highest in the entire season.
You gotta remember something. Raw Fuel, he could easily get that 300, but he doesn't have a break button on his dictionary. Like, the way that he pushes up, he has all of the buttons in front. He's like, okay, I place my Blade Storm, I place my Smokes, I place my Updraft, I do a dash. But where's the breaks? Normally, as a player, when you're playing at the highest level, you know when to slow down. But there's no such thing as a slowdown for Raw Fuel. He's just gonna dive in, he's gonna take fights, and he doesn't give a damn about what you think. And that's how you should be. He's like that selfless entry fragger that you can always rely on to get you into the site. That's why sometimes you see his deaths being a lot more higher compared to all of the other Jets that
Oh, yeah.
have been ruling throughout this entire tournament. But speaking of Jets, let's head on down over towards the side of Team Valor and see what they're gonna have cooking for us when it comes down to their team stats. Because we can give Enigma all of the spotlight in the entire world, but Team Valor, this is a team that have captured our hearts throughout all of the seasons that they have played in, and they're just evolving more and more. And Floki, I'm gonna be passing over the mic to you, man, because Team Valor, the way that they're consistent just blows my mind.
Absolutely. I mean, when season two rolled around, this was the team that I was really keeping an eye out for. This was the team that I thought is going to be making waves and it's going to be causing some sort of grievances for all these top dogs. And they did, they managed to, I believe they knocked Velocity down to the lower bracket or something along those lines. In one of the seasons, or they did take a game against them in one of the group stages. It was either that. I mean, they won a BO3 against Velocity. That's what I remember. And yeah, Val have
I
been
think it
looking
was
really,
previous
really
season.
strong. Yeah, I think it was previous season where they beat Velocity. They were in the same group and they managed to 2-1 or 2-0 them. So that should give you some context, Chris, because these guys have, everybody recognizes these names, right? Bullet, JN, Pasha Sahil, Strokey, Hunter, Buster. You know where these guys are from. You know how long they've been around. But it's all about just seeing them go at it in a new game with a fresh perspective, with a fresh start, and hopefully do a lot of damage. I mean, I believe Hunter and Buster are probably some of the most experienced players in the team. JN, Bullet, Pashasal, and Strokey as well. Very, very experienced in their own regard. So when they're going up against these behemoths and these juggernauts, all their experience is going to play in. And you can see it in the stats as well, right? Hunter, very good ACS from Initiator. Buster as well, just solid as heck, fragging out every single time he's on the server. Jayan on the jet, more than enough, always doing his job on that operator, always being the one to, get those early picks and round winning picks right at the start and just turn the tides in their favor. I mean, when you look at a team like Valor, all you can really think of is, man, what are they going to pull out of the strat book right now? Because they've just played so much of these competitive shooters that you never know what you're going to get. Strokey, I mean, this man gets talked about often. He is a beast on his cipher every single time he's on the server. Even Pasha Sal, for that matter, on his Astra, every single time he plays that controller and his team is in some sort of an awkward situation, this man comes out with a frag or two and turns the round on its head. So Valor is a team that I just feel like it's just so easy to root for them.
I kind of feel like, sorry, I just have one thing to add, Aggie. I kind of feel like Valor are way too flexible. That's the only thing that Enigma need to be careful about. Enigma are pretty disciplined, and the way that they have been playing their games recently kind of shows that they have what it takes. But Valor's ingenuity and their spontaneous thinking, it could land Enigma in trouble, especially because Valor keep on changing their compositions every now and then. We have Buster sometimes playing the Ray, sometimes him playing the Reyna, and even Pasha Sahil for that matter sometimes picks up duelists instead of controllers if he doesn't need more than one controller on a map. So that keeps on happening for Team Valor. I think that's one thing that Enigma need to keep in mind.
Yeah, consistency is key, but at the same time, Valor is consistently inconsistent when it comes down to
Oh,
their
yeah.
agent selection. So you don't really know what to expect now, do you? What we are
Yeah.
expecting is the draw screen coming on down through. And Crips, it's your time to shine. Spotlight's
No
on
pressure.
you. If it doesn't happen, then yeah, you're a failure as an analyst already.
Oh my
Absolutely.
god. Well, if I had such luck while playing actual relay, I probably would have had a lot more money now. But hey, let's go. There's only two teams left, so I should be able to get the pick
50
on
50
at least one of
chance.
them. 50-50. Yeah? Odds are in my favor. Let's see. I want to see Team Exploit go up against the True
True
Rivers boys.
Rippers?
Let's see if that
Yes.
happens. So let the wheel hit. Let this wheel spin. And do we get them? Oh, I got
Oh,
extra.
I
You're
got
So
good,
it
you're
right.
good, you're
failed
good,
right
you're
Still a
away.
good one.
Hey, it
Still a
could
good
still
one.
be right now. If they go up against Weird, you could still be right, Crips.
Yeah, you
Oh
can still
yeah.
be
Oh
right.
yeah.
You get the other side of the spectrum.
All
Wheel
right, let's
two,
go for it.
spin it.
Uh,
Okay,
oh,
okay,
Okay.
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 So EXO going up against Weird, which means we have Exploit going up against True Rappers. And okay, so I'm not a failure. My parents will be proud of me.
Yes, you
Dad?
gotta that
Yep.
works out in your favor. But at the same time, let's talk a little bit about the side of Team EXO and their team stats. But we gotta talk about the team as a whole because oh my god, Team EXO, they came in this entire season like a storm. Consider their performances in season number 2, Floki. Just
Yep.
consider that. And now, season number 3, they're on top of the table, 7-0, dropping only 2 maps just like Velocity.
Sleeping
We did
Giants.
not expect any of this because
Yep.
Group B was supposed to be the group of death. Group B was supposed to be the place where teams just lose out left, right, and center. You're not supposed to get a 7-0. You're supposed to lose here. But Team EXO, they're like, no, we're just a cut above the rest. Who are these people? I don't even know them. They just send everyone at the bottom of the barrel, and they're like, okay, we are the kings. We're gonna stay at the top.
Yeah. I mean, they lost an entirety of 2 maps during their entire stint in the group stages. So that should tell you everything you need to know about EXO. Like you said, they looked very shaky when they first started off, but it seems that they've really found their groove in this current season, and I can't wait to see what they're going to pull off in the playoffs. Excali just being a beast on that jet every single time. This man has the operator, he makes it sing. Blackhawk as well, just always just so clever. And another thing about Blackhawk is just that he's never afraid despite being the controller. Sometimes people are a bit more conservative with their lives. They're playing the controller. Sometimes they're a bit like, okay, you know what? I may not be able to hold the best angles. I may not be able to cover cover most of the flanks. But hey, if I live long enough, my utility can do all the work for me. Not Blackhawk. He just says, nope, I'm gonna take matters into my own hands. He picks up the wand and then he one shots someone and he's like, rounds open, boys, come on in. Coast as well, ever since that change up came where he left Enigma and joined Team X, so he's just been on point on his Astra. And I think every single time I've seen him, on that server, he's just adapted to that new controller rule so well that I don't even think he used to play Duelist at some point.
Yeah,
Side
honestly, it
wings,
just feel like that.
yeah. I mean, at least Sai and Wimp, right? Which, I mean, their stats speak for themselves. Sai, I don't know what he eats for breakfast, but somehow he has an ACS of 234 on a Sova
He
or a KO,
snores the red.
mind you. Yeah, and then there's Wimp 23 with all those sick clutches every single time EXO is in deep trouble with an ACS of 226. Everyone on EXO is just so stacked.
Yeah, Team EXO, they look pretty much untouchable, don't they? But at the same time, going up against Weird, you gotta remember that that one level of unpredictability just adds even more. So as we head on down over towards the team stats for the side of Weird, I personally have to say that Weird have been making a lot of strides throughout not just our tournament, but throughout the entire scene as well in general. We didn't expect them to perform this well. We did not expect this new squad to come on down in and just be like, hey, we are Weird and we're here to stay. Just look at Bad Love alone, 323 kills, Crips. 323. And then there's Deadly 10, 284. He's playing the Cypher, he's playing the Raze, he's sometimes switching over to the controller as well. The versatility on this man, it's something to awe at.
I mean, if I saw Bad Love and Smokey being this consistent, I wouldn't be surprised. These guys have been around since the CSGO days, and they're pretty much almost veterans in the scene. They are not as old as probably Ace or Amaterasu or someone like that, but they've been around, right? But then you look at someone like Deadly 10. I had not heard of this man before he entered Weird Esports. And now that I see him, he's the only one that I can think about. That tells you everything you need to know about Deadly 10. This man, he came up from out of nowhere and now he's ruling our hearts. Probably very soon will be ruling this tournament as well. And we'll need to see what this man does. That's all I'm looking for from Weird Esports. They have a bunch of really talented people who, when put together, do form a very strong team, and I like watching them, but I'm a little concerned about them. As good as they are pretty one dimensional and they can counter any team, but they cannot counter their own counter, if you get what I'm saying. They can't
Yeah,
play
that's
five
true.
dimensional chess. And especially because they're going up against a team like EXO. EXO have plenty of layers to their strats. if they think about one thing, they will also think what the enemy can do to counter it, and then they will make precautions against that as well. So they're thinking 2 to 3 steps ahead. Weird Esports, on the other hand, they don't do that. They think of one simple strat. They don't like to keep it very complicated. It's nice and easy. It's pretty easy to figure out what Weird Esports are doing, but because they're just so damn good at the game and they're just so damn good at hitting their shots, it becomes nearly impossible to stop them. But it's not impossible to read what Weird Esports are doing. So I think TEAMXO might have an edge over here.
TEAMXO, on paper, they should be the ones to win everything out. But at the same time, as many times as we have predicted that the underdogs are not going to be able to win, sometimes we're always in for that surprise. And it could happen at any moment, ladies and gentlemen. And hey, we can see the foresight here already. Team Exploit going up against the side of True Ripper, something that we didn't really expect. But heading on back over onto the draw screen, and once again, hey, Grips, I'm going to give it to you. You're going to be like, okay, your analysis is correct. Not in the correct moment, but I'll still give you the consolation prize. The hat trick is there. Hey, we're perfect as analysts. We got the predictions all right. It's going to be Team Exploit up against the side of True Rippers. Let's head on down over to the first team intro, being Exploit, because this team for Pakistan just blew our minds. We knew that they were good, but to go up against the likes of Velocity like that and fight through Group B, go neck and neck against Team EXO, that's what we really did not expect. This squad went far and beyond all of our expectations, and they're here to showcase even more. Especially when you have a player like Shooter on your squad, you know that this team is meant to do a lot of great things. Don't you think so, Floki?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Crips will also agree when I say that, Team Exploit is a team that just shows that when you've got heart, you don't need much else. When you've got grit, you don't need much else. It doesn't matter what their ping is. It doesn't matter how much latency they're playing at. It doesn't matter if there's not a player from their side in the server. They will fight tooth and nail until the bitter end, and you best come prepared and you best play out the long game, because these guys, they will wear you down over the course of the game, if not outright win it right away. Because these guys are hungry as hell, and you can see every single one of these players just up there in terms of ACS. King with 227, Soulmate with 198 on the Killjoy, Shooter on a Jet, the man who's supposed to be entering, creating space and dying, getting shot in the head, has an ACS of 267. Just think about that for a second. HSB 195 again, on that Sky, on that Initiator role. Great stuff coming out from him. Always being the one to watch the lurks, and always being the one to make sure that he's there to trade out his teammates if need be. Pokemon with 222 and Shaka with 178. Every single one of these players just, out of their minds. But when it comes to the playoffs, when the pressure is actually on them, will they be able to perform? I think the answer is yes. But hey, given the amount of time that all of these teams have had to prepare, and also the fact that Exploit is probably going to be having some form of ping disadvantage, I think, if Exploit, they don't dot their I's and cross their T's, they don't keep that in the back of their mind, they might be up for a little bit of disappointment by being sent to the lower bracket a little bit early. It could happen, but I still have a strong feeling that Exploit will make it. They will prevail, through all of their hardships. It's just the nature of the team.
That's the thing, because Team Exploit, they know how to be resourceful. They know exactly how to get as much value as they possibly can throughout all of their endeavors. And going up against True Rippers, who are a team that are known to pretty much pull anything and everything out of the hat, these guys can make it happen just because of one man alone. Paradox. This guy has the highest kill count in the entirety of the Gauntlet. Consider season number 1, season number 2. No one, and I mean no one, can come up to Paradox's level, it seems. Yeah, Deathmaker's in that number 1 spot. He deserves that just because of his MVPs. He has been a tear and a demon in every single game that he played. But Paradox, he's like that boogeyman under your bed. The main reason why you always wear those blankets and just tuck it in tight. You don't want to go up against Paradox when he's on your ranked games. And this is one of the main reasons why. 338 kills. It's mind-blowing, Crips.
Oh, and not just that, you got to consider the way he gets these frags, right? Some of them
He
are
gets it in
just
style, dude.
I know some of them are just straight up disrespectful dry peaks. He sometimes gets double peaked when there's two opponents on his screen. You know what he does? Man just one taps them. Not doesn't even spray transfer. Doesn't even try to isolate the 1v1s. Nah, double peek me. I dare you. I double dare you. That's what he says to them, as if he was Samuel L. Jackson. I'm probably sure you can guess the next words coming out of his mouth. But this man,
God.
I gotta tell you, man. Sometimes Paradox makes me scared. It makes me very anxious to see him play because the risks he takes are just a bit too much for my appetite. But you've got players like Crosshair and Master backing him up, so that's probably why he decides to be that ballsy in the first place. Master is very good at timing. His recon darts always help Paradox get some of the opening kills, especially when they're playing puckish maps like, let's say, Bind or Ascent. If they're playing something like Haven, that's when Master comes in handy because Master is very versatile with the characters he plays. Sometimes the Sova, sometimes he will play Sova in a manner where he's like a duelist of sorts, going ahead using nothing but his shock darts to fight his opponents and maybe just droning for his enemies after he's taken up a little bit of map control so that he can push even deeper inside. Yeah, that's the amount of stuff that Master does for his team, just alleviating the pressure overall. So he's like a little support carry of the team aside from Paradox. Crosshair and One Tap God. What can I say about them? They usually stay around towards the back of the team and make sure that they enter later after Paradox has already done whatever he needs to do. But once they enter the area, it basically means that Team True Rippers will lock that area down. If Paradox wasn't already able to do what he does best, One Tap God and Crosshair will go ahead and confirm they will finish what Paradox started. Bones and Relic. I don't even need to speak about these guys because half the time before they even show up, his team has already cleaned up the server and whatnot, right? So Bones walks into the server, half the enemies are dead, and his team is like, "There you go, Bones. Here's a gift for you." And speaking of gifts, I think it's Bones' birthday today.
Happy birthday in
Oh.
the chat, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely. Happy birthday to Bones. And yeah, going to be interesting to see. But just to sprinkle a little bit of spice on what you said, Crips, Paradox is hands down, by far, one of the most entertaining players to watch
I know,
in the
I know.
entirety of the
Don't
contest.
forget the
You
sunglasses,
never
bro.
know.
Don't forget the
You,
sunglasses.
yeah, don't forget the sunglasses. You never know when this man is going to go in and double tap someone to shoot them in the head or die in the most hilarious way imaginable. And you're
That
just staring there wondering what the hell happened, what went wrong, what was he thinking at that point? Right? He's just such a 50-50. I mean, I wish there was some Dota 2 fans over here because I could make a reference that they would totally understand. But man, every
do it.
single time, I mean, he's the eternal envy of the scene. He's
Oh
the man
my god!
who
You
you
did
can
not
see.
just do that. You just did not do that,
He
Floki.
is. He is. He's a man who is the biggest 50-50 I've ever seen in my life. And that is amazing. Every single time he's on there, you never know what you're going to get. You know, there are rounds where this guy is on an eco, he's got nothing but the classic. Somehow he just outthinks his enemy. He peeks out of his cloud burst while the enemy is paranoid as all heck. He just shoots them in the head and then he's like, yeah, I just knew that all along. That's what I was going to do since the very start. And he's just,
You asked him
railing.
about it.
Yeah, exactly. He's just so happy when he makes his enemies so uncomfortable. You know, when he's just
Yeah.
up in their face. Like, man, I'm losing breath speaking over here because this is how much I enjoy watching Paradox play.
Yeah, and because he's such a 50-50 player, that's why his teammates are so important, right? Because they
Yeah.
help swing the odds in his favor. The peaks that Paradox takes are 50-50, I agree. But with maybe Killer's backup, or maybe with a well-placed Astro Star from One Tap God or someone like that, he could potentially win that fight. Even if he doesn't land the headshot, which he usually does, 2 bullets to the body would be enough if his enemy is vulnerable or concussed.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
just
man. I mean, sorry, go on.
yeah, no. I'm just saying that Paradox, he's one of those players that you never really know what to expect from him, but when he does perform, he can just push his team to incredible heights. Just like moving on down over here on the brackets, Loki. I'm gonna ask you this one more time. I want your thoughts, and then I want Crips's thoughts before we head on back to our cams. Because honestly speaking, I think the brackets it couldn't have gotten any better. All these teams in my eyes are very evenly matched. Sadly, it was FS versus Velocity, just like I called it. That's a little bit more
Hmm.
favoring towards the side of Velocity, but FS they can also make it happen. But other than that, all of the other matchups, I think they're quite even.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there, and I'll just go ahead first and put my thoughts out there. I think FS, like Crips has mentioned earlier, and like you guys have talked about, if they get the lead early on, they can quickly shut a team down because they've got that breathing room to work with, and they can figure out what the enemy is trying to do. I have a feeling that against Velocity, this is actually going to work, and they might even be able to beat them out and send them to the lower bracket simply because Velocity, I've seen countless times, is a team that can start to second guess themselves, that can start to self destruct a little bit. Once they're behind by, say, 4 or 5 rounds, unless they're in the zone, this is a team that is going to start doing some odd things and taking weird risks that they normally wouldn't. So, FS Esports, if they manage to get the edge in those first two maps, I have a feeling that Velocity Gaming are not going to be fighting their way from the upper bracket. But I could be wrong. Everywhere else, Enigma, Valor, can't really say, but if I had to pick one, I'd go for Valor. EXO versus Weird, I definitely go for EXO over here. Exploit versus True Rippers, I don't know who's gonna win, but man, do I want to watch this match.
It's just we just gotta wait and see. But Crips, now it's your turn. Give us your thoughts about the brackets because last closing thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. The brackets are already done. Everything has been set up. So hey, it's just for our predictions and it's just for the fun of the audience as we build up the storyline even more because for me personally, the brackets they look very unpredictable other than two games of course being TEAMXO and of course Velocity, but at the same time they have their own little bit of spice added on top of it because we don't really know exactly what to expect from FS or Weird, but all of the other two, oh boy, I'm expecting a lot of 2-1 scorelines, possibly going into multiple overtimes.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm very excited about the Exploit and True Rippers game. Like Floki said, I can't really predict what's gonna happen, but I think that has to be the most entertaining game. I mean, True Rippers are True Rippers. They keep on playing very aggressively and they keep on taking all these risky fights. But I think to some extent, Team Exploit like that as well. They
Yep.
also have a few risky strats of their own. Of course, they're a little more disciplined than letting Paradox go ahead and do all the killing by himself. Team Exploit, it is more of a team effort rather than a couple of heroic people just doing their stuff. It seems like that. But both the teams, at the end of the day, they like challenging each other in enemy territory and sometimes they even give up too many lives doing it. So both of them don't have any filter. If they commit to a play, they commit to it full send. They go in with the YOLO strategy, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, well, then they have plenty of other pages in their book.
That's actually so true. You gotta remember that all of these teams they're in it to win it, and hey, some of them are here for fun, some of them are here for those memes, but at the same time when the memes are that good and they're that strong, sometimes you just kill your enemy with your laughter. And Paradox, I want those shades, man. I want those gloves on your hands and I want to see you play to the best of your own abilities. Come on, you gotta show the audience some entertainment as well. Just through your sheer raw determination and your grit, you can make us be at the edge of your seats. Why not give us a little bit of a laugh at the same time as well? But hey, I digress. When you consider the gauntlet, when you consider all the growth that these teams have had throughout this entire group stages, it just goes to show that the underdogs they can rise up to the challenge. They can take out the juggernauts. They can be the Davids of this story who win against the side of the Goliaths. You never really know what to do and what to expect moving on down the line. That's why you gotta hit that like, hit that subscribe, and also hit that notification bell to get notified when we do go live. And also make sure to follow us on our socials, not just the caster socials, but also the TZ socials. All the links down below in the description to get notified as soon as we have any changes. Because you gotta remember, playoffs start tomorrow. Tomorrow, the first big game of this entire season. I can't wait. Playoffs is what we've been waiting for. Playoffs is where the stakes are higher than ever. In the group stages, yeah, the players were fighting to just get in here. Now that they're already here, the blood's going to be running even higher. They're pretty much going to be at the edge of their seats. They're going to be sweating bullets throughout the entirety of these next couple of weeks because it's do or die. Yeah, you have the lower brackets, but do you want to go there? Of course you don't. So any more closing thoughts, gents? Because it's time to close everything down.
Crips, why don't
None
you go
from
first?
yeah, none from my side. I've already said everything that I was excited about. All these matches will be pretty damn entertaining, especially the ones that can get very close, especially that weird esports game and Exploit versus True Rippers game. I'm pretty excited to watch those two matches because I know they will be very close. And I love watching close matches. I love watching these teams sweat it out and go into double, triple overtimes. So I'm excited for those ones. Of course, all the matches are going to be damn great. That's for sure.
Yep. Floki?
Well, I just have one thing to say, Paradox. If you're watching this, Jet cosplay against Exploit on that day, please, very
Oh
much. I'd
my
love to
god.
see your hair dyed white. I want you to see you wear that sleeveless hoodie. Pick up those shades, put them on when you get a clutch. Just give us some nice entertainment value because man, your games are spicy, really good to watch. So gonna be fun when they come around. But that's about it from my side. I mean, I've pretty much conveyed my thoughts about the entire brackets.
Hey, imagine if Bad Love did the same thing from his end. And then Floki's like, why did I cast that game? We never really know what to expect now, do we? But for now, that's all we have for you for today. Thank you all for stopping by for the live playoff draw event. It's been a fun one indeed. Lots of analysis, lots of predictions. We got it right. Sally Cribs did it, but he got it right later on. Trifecta. And hey, the playoffs, it's all been set. The storylines have been set up. And we are really excited to bring it down to you tomorrow. Don't forget, 4 p.m., 8 p.m. Matches are going to be there. Set your calendar, set your dates, and make sure to hit that like and hit that subscribe as well because you don't want to miss out on any of the action, not just from the Gauntlet, but also from all of the other tournaments being held by the Esports Club. So for now, it's going to be your boy Aggressive, John McCrips, and Floki signing on off. And we're going to be back with it tomorrow with a lot more action for the LG Ultragear TC Gauntlet Season 3, powered by Crucial, our apparel partners at 606, accessory partners Cosmic Byte, and our esports partner is none other than Aimlab. Good night and happy gaming, everyone.
From the legends of memory and storage, Crucial brings you the ultimate performance in gaming. Legendary products, precision engineered for speed and stability. Crucial Ballistics.